Possibly. So, we're entering
This
into
is
the
the big
map
moment.
bans. Let's find out. We finally have a Warhead ban and also
Yes.
Sky banned out with Super Perfect Team. First picking Dragonshire.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with Dragonshire these days. It's a super solid map. It's a very forgiving map as well, similar to Towers of Doom oftentimes. In the case of losing a map objective, losing a Dragon Knight early on, or even later on as well, is not really that punishing. Of course, a Dragon Knight can get insane amounts of value, but most teams these days really know how to defend very well with picking a couple of counters against it, keeping the Dragon Knight occupied before it reaches the base. So I really do like that choice to open things up with.
I like it as well, and we're entering the draft very quickly this time. No chill, no pauses, getting underway. And the timer, though, ticking down as RPG hovers around. Will we see our standard shielder bans? No, it's going to be Dahaka, removing that solo lane, removing a bit of a global potential.
Keep in mind that RPG is first pick, so they basically secured themselves Tassara or Zarya, depending on what SPC decides to ban, SPT, excuse me. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see that one of the shielders could potentially make it into the game for the first time.
So now the question is, what do SPT want to ban? Is there one of those shielders they really don't want to play against, or would they rather prioritize getting one for themselves?
Yeah.
Looks like they want one for themselves. So they're going to ban Zeratul, let RPG pick the TAS or the Zarya that they want, and Super Perfect Team will take the other. And both are good, and both can lead into very different team comps. So leaving themselves a little bit open there. So RPG, are they going to lock that in? We saw one team avoid taking both of them.
Yeah.
And then we saw both of them picked up by their opponents. That was yesterday, or was that last week?
No, it wasn't yesterday because I think they were always banned, but it was last week for sure.
Yes, that was interesting. What comp was that? It was Tassadar, Zarya.
Yeah.
I cannot remember what the exact comp was. It was really weird, but it worked.
If I had to compare Tassadar and Zarya, I would actually say that Zarya is the more flexible one out of the two, because she fits into a larger variety of team comps. I might want to say Tassadar is pretty much limited to a strong auto-attacking comp, like a Vala, or featuring a Vala or a Zul'jin, for example. But we saw some really creative ways to draft around that as well, especially from Fnatic, for example, during that King of the Storm Cup the other day, when they decided to go double support against that as well with someone like Oriel and Lucio. A really cool way to deal with that as well. And also sometimes even banning out heroes like Zul'jin and then picking Vala first, which really takes away all the momentum for a team comp that features Tassadar, because there's no auto attacker left. So definitely cool to see how teams in different regions adopted different playstyles to play around that.
It is, and Super Perfect Team with the Sonya and the ETC to come in early, which means they're not picking up the Zarya. There's a good chance it could be banned away from them if they if they had wanted it to go with the Sonya here.
Yeah, indeed, and we see Rhaegar now being locked in. Tassadar Rhaegar is a very solid double support comp.
The longest mouth has ever slipped down the draft since in quite a while.
But they also make sure now, it's going to be highly unlikely that they're going to be able to deny SPT both Lucio and Malfurion, because I think one of them is definitely going to land in the hands of SPT, because I can't see them banning either of those. Wouldn't make any sense at all. Greymane, though, is probably going to be their safe bet for RPG. Just in case SPC decided to ban something like a Vala or a Zul'jin, they would still have at least a Greymane replacement for it. So I like that safety choice to at least have one person to benefit from those Tassadar shields.
Yep, gonna work out well. You're gonna see Varian being hovered over as the ban by Super Perfect Team. Pretty safe move there. You want someone you want to get rid of that Varian to be a counter to Sonya. If they did pick Varian, they would have a hell of a front line. Yeah, they could do it. Twin Blades, Varian, and Spinning Whirlwind Sonya, no one ever dies. But no, sad times. It is still only Taunt Varian currently in the professional scene.
Yeah, something that we actually saw Fnatic do as well, or other teams in Europe do as well, is they picked Varian into a Lucio Tassadar comp, because none of those teams really had a cleanse. Lucio doesn't have one before 20, and Tassadar doesn't have any cleanses at all, and oftentimes that could really be a problem for teams that would face a Varian, because that taunt would be so devastating and not counterable for them. But in this case, of course, they picked Rhaegar, I think for that specific reason, to basically have at least one cleanse in their roster. Now Varian getting banned out of this. Quite surprising. I don't think Tassadar teams normally go for Varian in the first place, but better be safe than sorry, I guess.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense here. So what are RPG going to remove? There is no ranged and no support currently chosen by SPT. They're going to ban out that Malfurion, give them over that Lucio if they want. Other options would be Karazim. I've seen that become quite popular, and it adds a lot more to that. Adds a lot to that all-in style that they already have a lot of potential to go towards.
Keep in mind that there's still a little bit of global mobility available. There's still a hero called Falstead, and especially since the Haka is out of the race, they might want to save Falstead for themselves here to have a little bit more map control, to be able to fly from shrine to shrine, to grab and prevent Dragon Knights as well. Falstead with the Mighty Gust is really, really good to buy your team enough time in that regard as well. Yep, and there we go. No surprise here, I think. They still need a support. It's probably going to be Lucio or Karazim. I can't see them pick anyone else.
We do have to... Morales is in there as well, but I'd say a little bit lower. She's going to add a lot of protection to Sonya, but maybe from a bit more. Nazeebo sneaking his way back in again, getting that Melanie C hero.
Yeah, it's a good pick on Dragonshire. We talked about this yesterday as well, Tetra, saying that Tomb of Spyrokin was probably Nazeebo's best map if you want to go for that stacking style of playing him with Val Infection at level 20. But Dragonshire is actually really close to that one as well, because it has a very similar playstyle in terms of, you know, rotating between bottom and middle. Nazeebo usually is a very nice character to dominate shrines as well. With the zombie wall, you can catch people in those choke points. The Gargantuan normally helps in that regard as well. So I like Nazeebo. Usually performing very well in the Chinese HGC so far.
Yeah, it's been doing spectacularly. And in fact, in all regions, Nazeebo has just resurged and is doing a fantastic job so far.
It's basically like the hero never really was changed too much. It's actually been remained stagnant for a long period of time. And it seemed like people out of nowhere seemed to have discovered how strong he really was.
It's like LAN logic, but with just regular tournaments. A Valeera coming in here. Wow, that is interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But yeah, Nazeebo, he's sort of the Zagara, Tyrael, Zeratul of LANs, but for actual online tournaments, where everyone sort of remembers when tournaments happen. Oh yeah, Nazeebo is good, although this is technically a LAN, so I guess it's just the resurgence of him in general. Valeera, though, should ruin his day, in theory. How well can Karazim protect him?
Yeah, I like the Karazim response to the Valeera, though, by the way, because he has those air allies that can be used as a scouting drone replacement at level 4, and they definitely need to have at least a little bit of reveal. I feel super perfect team that is. So I like the Karazim, not only because he's a good pick in general, but also because he counters that Valeera so well. And remember, guys, we saw a Valeera yesterday. I think it was on the side of Kiss, or yeah, I think it was Kiss.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't work too well, but it almost felt like they were picking it too early. This time around, though, RPG, they patiently waited until that last pick to really avoid getting hard countered by 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 heroes, which was the fate of Valeera yesterday. Only the Karazim so far with that reveal. Is it going to be enough, though? What do you think?
Quite possibly. I think it's definitely the best choice, because a lot of people may remember that the other stealth hero that we see a lot now, a lot around, was always Zeratul, and the counter we saw a lot of teams go for that was Brightwing, with her first 2 talents being teleport talents, where you took the reveal and the reduced teleport cooldown. Basically, you just keep TPing to reveal him. That doesn't really work on Valeera, because Valeera only really stealths right before she's about to kill you. So and that's unrevealable, whereas Karazim, having that vision a bit more permanently and having it locked down in certain positions, if it's down already, you don't have to wait for that Brightwing teleport. It's more instant reaction, which allows you to play a lot better against the Valeera with this hero. And of course, you get a more consistent burst heal with the Divine Path.
Absolutely. For now, though, we're going to take a final look at the team's rosters here. In blue, SPT features Nazeebo, Falstead, ETC, Sonya, and Karazim.
And it does look solid for them. Very aggressive, very high burst damage from the side of SPT. Whereas RPG, we have Valeera, Rhaegar, Tassadar, and Greymane. The double dogs. I do like it when they go together.
Double doggo, indeed. We saw that yesterday during the European division as well. I really like the term you invented there.
Double dog dare you. And Misaka immediately running away. He's realised he could be in trouble. Able to power slide away from that Storm Bolt to begin with.
Speaking of the European Open Division for HGC, by the way, there were some technical difficulties yesterday. So just in case you're wondering, Tetra, why don't you tell us how things are going to be done today?
So basically, we're just going to continue from exactly where we left off. Any games that were interrupted by the site server issues we had yesterday will be restarted. All games that were completed will still be counted. But basically, we're going to continue from exactly where we left off and just do all the games today.
Cool. And I can't wait to see the goodness that is. I think Well Played Me against Zealots was the series where we stopped.
No, it was Well Played Me versus Team Gangang.
Ah, Team Gangang, exactly. BKB and Antihero and all those old veterans.
I have counted now. It is BKB's 4th team in Open Division. 4th different one. And the fact is, if Well Played Me beat them, then suddenly Team Gangang are going to have a rough time even getting into the playoffs. So we will see. They've left it late. Either way, we're now hitting to the Shrine phase. And at top, going over to SPT, whereas RPG, they do have a bit of control of the bot lane. They appear to be abandoning it, though, instead going for kills, looking for ETC here.
Yeah, Misaka getting pressured, so is Melody C, but they don't have enough damage to take down either of them. Now, Valeera is a rare sight, even in the Chinese HGC, so let's actually take a look at her talents in particular. It looks like not much has changed over the months, though. Vigor is still being picked at level 1. There's probably still going to be an ambush heavy build here going as we progress through time, and we see First Blood on Muradin. He was a little bit too cheeky, a little bit too brave out there, and SPT just say thank you, take that first kill, but he died for a good cause because he prevented SPT from channeling that Dragon Knight, bought his team enough time to get one of those altars, so well done.
Yep, his life for the cause. In the meantime, Infinity laning against Wings up in the top lane, although Tastar comes with Wings of his own with this skin. Early C, that knockback from ETC nearly saved Falstad, but he is between a rock and a hard place between Greymane and Valeera. He does get picked off, but Greymane is punished. He was closed in on, making the kill count 2-1 in favor of Super Perfect Team.
Yeah, I think ETC actually knocked Greymane out of the zombie walls. I think they would have actually landed if there were no interference. But as it is a 1-for-1 trade. Now Nazeebo is the next victim to fall, though. RPG, they are turning up the heat a little bit, playing a very aggressive early game with heroes such as Greymane and Valeera, who have great bursting capabilities. Now, I do want to highlight also that Tasser did not go for the Kedarn Resonance, which is something we normally are used to seeing more and more. He went for the Templar's Will, the auto attack related talent, and the Color Celerity at level 4, providing his shielded allies more movement speed.
The Templar's Will is still quite strong. You can give yourself a very decent amount of mana regen, especially if you are the one in the solo lane, where it's going to be less consistent of you hitting the Storm. Storm talent a little bit harder to use in this particular sense. The auto attack talent is going to increase your damage still, so that you can still get good value out of Archon and keep you a lot more sustained.
Yeah, as you pointed out, it's a great synergy talent to have with Archon. Longer range on your auto attacks, more damage, hitting even harder than Archon normally does already. Now we see a great a great interrupt here from Misaka here, sacrificing his own life just like his warrior colleague Muradin did before. So the warriors, man, though so far they are the scapegoats, sacrificing their own lives for their teammates' sake.
They really are, and Wings able to pull away from Tassadar there. Tassadar not yet with his percentage damage, which he does get as an option, I believe, on level 16 with this build, if you include the Oracle Stamp, but he didn't take the Oracle Talent at level 7, so we'll keep an eye out on the rest of the build for that.
Yep.
Tassadar, though, already about halfway through his stacking, I think. I think those markers
are...
he
can't be fully charged. That would be a little bit too insane.
But I think that's the halfway done one, which I can't remember what that halfway does. Does that increase range or
that increases the damage, excuse me, I think. Yeah.
I'm just double checking as we watch Nazeebo getting Storm Bolt. The heal from Karazin's good, but not enough to keep him alive. Down goes Nazeebo, and it is 30 seconds, increase the damage by 150%.
Yeah. The range is the full completion reward, if you will. Now, RPG, they are a team that came out of nowhere. They are a team that plays on the big stage for the very first time. And look at what they have accomplished already. They have a 1-level lead on the huge favorites, Super Perfect Team, who are considered to be number 2 right behind E-Star in the Chinese scene. And if this trend continues, we could potentially see a much longer series. Look at that beautiful gank here from Wang as well. The Muradin jumping over the wall and initiating a beautiful ganking attempt. It was just because of Karazim's elusiveness that he is able to survive.
Yeah, nicely played by Karazim, able to get away. But like you said, Wang with that great engage from above, able to do some serious damage. Now we're seeing him putting some pressure onto the mid lane. They weren't able to grab the Dragon Knight, but he's seriously able to zone heroes out here and keep those towers dropping in HP and keep that ammo out. And Wings, though, the poison! Oh, the ferocious healing keeping Sonya alive there.
Yeah, that was so well done here. Nonetheless, though, by Valeera, unfortunately now RPG loses their Greymane in the middle because he was way too low to survive that onslaught from Misaka and ZZH here. But the Valeera actually getting more value in those first 10 minutes, or first 6 minutes, if you will, than Valeera did get in yesterday during the entire game. She was part of a couple of good kills already. It seems like Chicken really knows how to make the rogue work like a charm, and we actually see Assassinate here at level 7, causing her to deal additional damage to isolated targets.
Were you paying attention to see if Valeera held her heroic until Super Perfect Team had theirs?
I was not paying attention to that, sorry.
Okay, I don't think she did, and I personally believe that is a mistake if she didn't. Wang is having a little bit of trouble here. He is taking some. He took all of the frogs to the face there, and is now currently getting good dwarf toss, and the heal from Rhaegar keeping him alive. He looked very doomed, but he escaped. But I disagree with Valeera not holding it. She could have, in theory, held it to see if ETC had picked Mosh Pit, and then you can use the Cloak of Shadows to move in while unstoppable and interrupt Mosh Pit. Because currently, the only person who could have is Muradin, which is why I still think it's strange that ETC didn't go for the Mosh Pit and has instead gone for Stage Dive.
Yeah, you bring up a very good point. Normally, when ETC charges in with a Power Slide to follow up with a Mosh Pit, Muradin should be the one getting caught in the process. So you don't want to count enemy warriors as a hard counter necessarily, unless it's Johanna because of that Condemn being able to proc earlier before the Mosh Pit goes down. But you're right, I would have loved to see a Mosh Pit coming in here, especially since I feel they don't need the Go mobility because they already have Falset in their team. So maybe they want to go for that double gank, double counter initiation style that we saw yesterday as well, just in case someone in their team gets caught off guard. But I would have totally preferred Mosh Pit given the circumstances here.
And peculiar moves. What was I saying there? Peculiar moves coming in here from Super Perfect Team, but so far they're not too far behind. They only have a slight XP deficit, still currently on the same level, but level 13 is going to be hit very shortly by RPG, who are able to drive back the Dragon Knight without losing any force. Infinity able to force back Sonya with those auto attacks.
Really, really well done. Now we see the 13 talents coming online for RPG, and we see another ambush talent for Valeera. So now she's not only able to deal damage to those isolated targets, but she's also able to gap close into distance immediately with that teleport, which is really, really sweet, and could make for some fancy moves from Chicken here as well. But as we speak, we see the level 13 counterparts for SPT. Nothing out of the ordinary Ice Block, and I think I would actually recommend everyone going Ice Block if they have access to it if you play against the Valeera.
Yep, absolutely recommended here. Muradin able to delay Falstad from rotating down here. Falstad with the Giant Killer to attempt to deal with that Muradin. He is the only tank on the enemy team, but it's still good to always have that percentage damage. Sonya with that Whirlwind increased healing, and we see Karazim with his version of a block talent, the 6th Sense.
Yeah, very nicely done indeed. We were kind of criticizing Karazim players in the past for going Spell Shield too much, I feel, because 6th Sense can't be underestimated, especially against heroes like Tassadar, Greymane, Valeera. Being able to completely shut down most of their basic attack damage after getting stunned, which, you know, with a Muradin or Valeera you're probably going to get stunned a lot, is really, really huge, because support players are oftentimes a good focus target to win team fights on after killing them.
Yeah, some talents we haven't mentioned yet. RPG's Rhaegar going for this Lightning Shield build that we saw in one of our previous games, getting that big AoE damage with a little bit of mana regen right now, dropping it onto Muradin, but still playing a little bit further back himself. He is taken the Lightning Shield talent at level 13.
Yeah, Earthshield, of course, providing a lot of additional protection value to his frontliner like Muradin with a high HP pool, because the higher the HP pool is, the stronger the shield is going to be. So also on the Arcane, it can have a little bit of value. Same can be said about Valeera if she goes in deep and needs a little bit of burst protection right off the get-go. Now we see a ETC going deep here on Chicken.
The Cloak of Shadow used instantly though. Chicken keeping himself alive of only having to drop his heroic, which is only a 6-second cooldown. Still quite high, but not compared to a lot of heroics. And it's still a much shorter cooldown than Stage Dive, so able to bait that out without losing anything really.
Yeah, that was a really good reaction by Valeera here, dropping her heroic ability in the very instance as she saw that Stage Dive to go down, because you don't want to get slowed, you don't want to get caught off guard by Misaka here. Now, speaking of Misaka, he is able to peel for his backline. Wang is going deep on that Muradin.
Wang dropping very low here. Ancestral keeps him alive though. In comes the Archon. RPG trying to put some pressure on him, but Super Perfect Team pulling back as 5, keeping themselves protected. And now we're seeing Valeera rotating up to top lane as quick as she can, but she needs to be quicker, because right now Super Perfect Team already moving in here, but at least RPG do have Tassadar in the mid lane to at least try and delay any kind of sneaky Dragon Knight capture coming in for Super Perfect Team, but a very quick rotation by SPT.
Beautiful interrupt by Infinity here, dropping a Psystorm in the nick of time to prevent that Dragon Knight from going on. In the meantime, though, we see Qing Zhao in trouble. Once again, being protected by Misaka and CZH here. Great peeling by Super Perfect Team so far, but Wings, he is on the warpath, is not going to dive Infinity behind that fort, though.
Yeah, needs to be careful here. And I would just like to talk about very quickly the choice of Valeera versus Sonya here. Wrath of the Berserker is considered... Oh, hang on, Chicken taking a lot of damage there. Turns around, there's a little bit of counter damage there to the support.
Yeah.
But Sonya's Wrath of the Berserker is definitely one of the best heroic 30s. When it can't... Hang on, Gust is dropped here. Wang immediately drops the Avatar. Keeps himself alive, but he's getting dropped down by that Giant Killer. Has to leap to freedom. Now we see Xar having to back up as well. And Super Perfect Team taking a lot of control of the map here. In comes Greybeard. ETC power sliding through. Wang taking a lot of damage. Archon is about to run... Avatar, sorry, is about to run out. He's a bit of trouble. Stage Dive catches 3. And ETC wading through. Sonya is just on everyone. Gets so many kills. Misaka with the stuns. And that is 3 kills for 1. Karazik 4 kills for 1. And... Valeera goes down 2. 5 kills for 1 in favor of Super Perfect Team.
Super Perfect Team turning on the heat here. Misaka, my MVP of that last team fight. It was a beautiful stage dive. It looked for a moment like it didn't hit everyone, but it was enough because there was so much slowing going on here from Falstead beforehand with that hammering. Look at that beautiful drop, slowing 3 members at the same time and then following up by a 3-man power slide. Well, a 2-man power slide, but still enough to zone out Sa on that Rhaegar. And then the Spiders, look at that, they're killing Tassadar, and a beautiful hammering as well to make it a perfect team kill here. Super Perfect Team playing super perfect indeed.
Yes, they are absolutely beautiful, and I was going to say that Sonya would have trouble with Valeera because Wrath doesn't affect silences, so Valeera in theory could open with the silence, get that damage over time, and just really burn her down. The fact is, doesn't matter, Sonya's just able to sustain through, which so far she is. She's just wading through all this damage and doing so much. Nice gust by Mercy, not getting Wang through the bush there, but able to push it far enough back that everyone should be able to get out. Wings spinning on the wall right now. They're thinking about turning around. Dragon Knight coming in from behind to join with the team fight here. Wings spinning through, doing lots of damage. Nazeebo gets not palm. There we go, palm. He almost ice blocked through the palm to laid it out. Wings barely surviving. Finally gets killed off.
Oh, it's a bloodbath.
They're hiding in the cloak of shadows there, keeping herself alive. We're seeing Loxar getting killed by the Dragon Knight.
Oh my goodness.
Getting finished off here. Good stun by ETC. Trying to turn it around. Chicken gets another kill.
Oh my god, he comes back!
Survives. Here comes the stage dive. We're seeing the escape attempt by Wang. He's very low. Chicken's also low, trying to stay in. And the thing is, Misaka is full health. Gets revealed. Tries to escape. Karasine coming in for the revenge. Can they get him? Where's the stealth? No stealth. Valeera finished off.
That was amazing! This is exactly why everyone loves to watch Chinese Heroes of the Storm, ladies and gentlemen. They don't mess around. They are not chicken. They are not fighting. Excuse me, they are not retreating. They are here to make a stand, and it was a complete bloodbath. In the end, though, it was worth it for Super Perfect Team. They got what they wanted. They had the Dragon Knight, got a little bit of structural value, and established themselves a beautiful 2-level lead, which means that Storm Talons on their side are now available. We see ETC with a Bolt of the Storm. We see Sonya with that Ignore Pain. Storm Shield for Karazim. No Peace for Repose, by the way. And Nazeebo is currently sitting at 129 stacks. So he needs a little bit more to really get the full effects from the Val Infection. Shouldn't be too much of a problem with this map, though.
Yep, should be fairly reasonable, needing that 21 stacks to finish off that Vile Infection there, which is going to increase his damage output very, very much. In the meantime, though, Super Perfect Team taking advantage of their level 20s by aggressively taking mercenaries across the map. They have already taken their Bruiser in the top lane. There's a Siege Giant already pushing in bots, and it's about to be joined by another Bruiser camp. And we already see everyone except for ETC, who has that global, beginning to put some pressure onto that bot lane.
Yeah. And in a situation like that, you really don't want to steal minions away from Nazeebo. I know wave clear is important. I know it's tempting to, destroy minion waves as fast as possible, but it didn't really work, unfortunately. But in a situation like that, you really want to make sure that Nazeebo gets enough time to really poison all the minions first, so he will have the Vile Infection as soon as possible, guys. Very frustrating, so please keep that in mind when you play with a Nazeebo in your team, that you do pay a little bit of attention to that.
Falstad has finished stacking that Seasoned Marksman, and also, by the way, Rhaegar, once again, going with that Rising Storm. So it is just a full Storm build.
Oh, the
Dragon Knight gonna be captured by Melody C very easily there, and he's gonna move down and put pressure into the bot lane, because there's already a keep down, and they have a 20 advantage. This is a great opportunity for Super Perfect Team to try and pressure the core. They may not be able to get it without grabbing some kills, but the fact is ETC is delaying any kind of B here, and he has stage dive.
Yeah, exactly. The longer this duel between Chicken and Misaka goes, the more it's going to be in ETC's favor, because as you said, Misaka can join them at any given moment, whereas Chicken is just trying to prevent that from happening, but once she is too far away and ETC gets that stage dive off, they're going to be in trouble. RPG is outnumbered already here, with that Dragon Knight dealing so much damage. The Gargantuan helping as well. The Arcan now being popped as a defensive measure, but ETC, is he going to join soon?
Valeera's coming in, ETC joins in with the stage dive, the core is dropping down, we see Rhaegar finished off here, Muradin coming from behind here, trying to grab something, Storm Shield
Dragon Knight
dropping low, 32% on the core, down to Dragon Knight, but immediately we see Falta coming out of a gust, very nearly misses, but it is too late, too high are the health pools, and it is GG, Super Perfect Team, taking game number 1.